You could probably tell I'm using a different camera today. My main camera is at work. Left it at the office. I've been using carrying it around with me in case I run up against a system that doesn't have a camera. And I'm doing a lot of my work online now because of the COVID thing that's going on. But it's a little bit grainy, more grainier. But I still am using it as best I can to make these videos. And I want to report on some of the more responses I'm getting from people I'm showing my videos to, and interesting responses. Primarily, some people like them. They say, yeah, it's a good thing. We never thought of these things. They make sense. They agree with me on a lot of things. But there's still issues. There's still issues with people trying to figure out what I'm talking about. I'm not the best spokesman for a lot of these ideas, and I'm sure there's better ones out there. One person said you sound a lot like Steve Bannon, and you're actually starting to look like him. I don't know that much about Steve Bannon. I've heard of him. I've seen some of his internet videos. I know he was with the Trump campaign early on. I know he's a big a nationalist, and he's pushing a lot of ideas that are very similar to what I'm talking about. And someone did say he is talking about the problem is in the Republican Party, something that I've been saying. And so, kudos to Steve Bannon if that's the case. And, if he's been saying it before I have, or has been saying it in a better way, good, more power to him. Maybe we should be following him a little more. I don't know. I did see he has a War Room blog that goes. He got scrubbed off YouTube. I'm sure I'll be following him soon. But I'll be being scrubbed too. But I think that from what I can see, he's got a little different perspective than most people. He's unique. And we should start finding people like him, more people like him. There's a lot more like him, and we need to find them. And get them to tell us to direct us properly, put us in positions where we can win elections. We can get real leaders in positions of power. But we got to be very careful. This is not a revolution. I'm not calling for civil war. I'm not calling for secession. I'm not calling for. That's not what we're talking about here. And if that's what you want to do, go ahead. Be my guest. See how far that'll get you. It's not going to get you very far. This time you have a third party. We don't need a third party. We have a party. It's the GOP, Republican Party. It's our party. We own the party now. Okay, we just don't know how to run it. We just don't. We just still trust the people that are still in charge, and that are still. And this whole thing with all these new movements to restructure the Republican Party, it's not necessarily going to change anything, guys, because you still got people picking our leaders. You still got people putting people in positions of power that are not in our camp. Liz Cheney's a good example. She should never have been elevated to the point where she was, but we all thought that she's a conservative, she's a Republican. Her daddy was Dick Cheney. He was a tough neocon, and he helped the country get through some tough times from the year 2000 till 2008. But there's also a lot of people who realize that he may not necessarily be the kind of leader we want in the Republican Party. That kind of neocon. And when I talked about neocons before, I'm talking about those that are operating behind, they're not honest, that are operating darkly, and that are manipulating things. This idea of getting us involved in wars that have no end, that have no meaning, that don't make any sense to us. There might be reasons for us to be in Afghanistan. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. These neocons may know something that we don't know. They're not telling us. They're not instructing us properly. They haven't made the case. And Trump's come along and says that these were wrong. And so far, Trump has got the upper hand on this. We just don't know. And we need to, like I said, we need to get people in positions of power that can instruct us properly and direct us properly. And like we've talked about, some of these terms, some of these ideas that we talked about, went down a list of words that we need to redefine. And I want to go over them and go over all that again. But You go back to my earlier videos, and you can see that we're being misled. We're being misled purposely and unintentionally. Both are happening, and we need to be careful, because with this new movement, with Sidney Powell and Linwood and all these General Flynn, all these guys are as well-meaning as any one of us, and are really got their pulse on what's going on. However, they still are surrounded by people who are giving them advice and who are dictating to them and advising them. And I think they're going to make mistakes again and start putting these rhinos and neocons into power, and a whole new slate of them with different names. And the same things are going to happen. We've got to be very careful here. I'm not against any of these people. I support them 110%. Having Liz Cheney and some of these leaders that we've had, Mitt Romney, and you can go down the list. These people let us down. Even Pence. I never really bought into Pence, to begin with. I think that I really do think he was as George Bush was to Reagan. Mike Pence is to Donald Trump. Okay, I hate to tell you, I really do. I like the guy, but I don't think he's not in our camp. I hate to tell you, I really don't think he is. You can just look at him and the way he talks, the way he chooses his words carefully. Doesn't want to say anything wrong. Doesn't want to say anything wrong because he doesn't want to offend his support system. He doesn't want to offend the people who support him, the real people who have the money and the power. At this point, he doesn't want to offend them. He wants to be very careful. He was hedging on this so-called impeachment. He should have been right out there in front of it. He should have been fighting it. Ted Cruz, the one guy I really didn't trust in the beginning, is the one guy who's standing up and actually putting himself out there. And who knows? He could turn around and become, be a neocon himself. I don't know. But I think that so far he's saying the right things and he's doing the right things. And we'll see what happens there. But we got to be very careful. Very careful. We always have these Republicans that let us down. They come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they're standing down. Once we need them to be strong and to lead, they start acting like they're afraid they're tiptoeing through the tulips. They're afraid to step on the poopy. They're not leading us properly, and I think we've got to be very careful here. And I know I'm supporting Sidney Powell, and I'm supporting the Kraken never happened. She knows something. She knows of something. Somebody's telling her something. And it's not happening. So she may not be the brilliant attorney that we think she is. She's brilliant. I mean, she's smart. I wouldn't want to go up against her in anything, even Parcheesi, because I think she's really smart. But is she brilliant? Is she a genius? Is Linwood a genius? He won a big case for the Covington Catholic guys. God bless him. Good for him. But is he capable of picking our leaders for us? Got to be careful. We got to ask the hard questions here. And we got to really be careful, and Steve Bannon too. He went off the deep end a couple times, and then talked about Trump's sons being a traitor because of some kind of this meeting with the Russians before right after the election. That's I'm not. Look, guys, I'm just putting this out there. I support these guys, and I support the right-wing media. But we have to be careful. We have to be really tough about this. We can't just assume these guys are going to be the leaders we need. And we have to really, if we're going to support them, if we're going to give them real support, you must send them some money. Yeah, send them $20, $25 for what they believe in. I'm all for that to a point. But you also got to support them with putting people in positions of the legislatures and judges, and getting the people in place that pick the right judges and develop our own bureaucracy that's going to support the Constitution. It's going to remember what I told you. Even if you're on the left, you need people that are going to support the Constitution. You can't have anybody come in, any ideologue come in and start dictating how things are going to go, because no one is in a position strong enough or intelligent enough to do this. They're not. They don't have the thing. They're not as smart as you think they are. Okay. They're not as moral as you think. I mean, we have to, as Reagan always said, trust but verify. And I think that's what we're at right now. We have to be very skeptical of everyone, okay? And I'm not against any of these people. I'm certainly not for these Democrats who are in there, these crazy Democrats. But sometimes you got to listen to them. Listen to them very carefully. Don't just throw them away. Listen to Nancy Pelosi. Listen to Schumer. Schumer, believe it or not, he warned us. He told us early in the Trump administration. You remember 6 ways from Sunday. A lot of people don't remember that. Here's a leader of the Senate, a leading senator, telling the president of the United States, "You better watch what you're doing because the intelligence bureaucracy have 6 ways from Sunday to get you. 6 ways of Sunday to get you." We know some of them. We know what they can do. We're experiencing it right now. They've got power. They got real power. It's not BS. It's not wishful thinking. We're not going to walk in there and take these guys over and kick them all out. It's not going to happen that way. We got to build this up very carefully. And then Schumer is the one who alerted us, of all people. Okay? He's telling you that it was one of the times he told us the truth. We should have been listening. Okay? So, think about what we're doing. Let's get rid of the hate. Get rid of the hate. Get rid of the vitriol. I know how you feel. I feel the same way. I don't trust these people. I can't stand when they talk. I can't stand listening to them because I know they're all full of it, and it's a lot of BS that they're shoveling at us. But you got to stick it out and listen to them. One of the things that Senator Specter, another rhino from my area, I can tell you stories about him, who told Clarence Thomas when he was going for Supreme Court. I'm talking about Anita Hill. He was complaining about Anita Hill and about the things that were the lynching, the electronic lynching that was going on and all that, and he was really angry. And Specter said to him, "Did you take notes? Did you listen to what she was saying?" And Clarence Thomas couldn't answer that. He did the same thing to Anita Hill, too, blew her away because she didn't know what she was talking about. She was making it up. She was being told to what she was reading it from a teleprompter. But he was right. But she wasn't running for Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas was. I love Clarence Thomas. He's a hero as far as I'm concerned. But Specter got him on that, and it stayed with me. Pay attention. Listen to what these people are saying. Sometimes they tell the truth. And you won't know if you're not listening. I know it's hard, but you got to listen. Nancy Pelosi's showing you her chocolate collection. Okay, listen carefully. Listen to what she's saying. She's telling you something. When I was in college, before I started to develop my right-wing sensibilities and defining myself as a conservative, one of the progressives, one of the left-wing progressives, tried to get me to join the movement. And he didn't tell me about, we're going to end racism. He didn't say we're going to make the country better for all the poor people. We're going to institute, socialism and communism, and everybody's going to have a way to live, and we're going to share everything. They didn't say that. What he said, he told me a joke. It was a riddle, and it goes like this: how do you tell the difference between a communist professor and a socialist professor? I didn't know the answer. I was listening to him. He was a Che Guevara. He had the bandana and the hat on, the whole thing, the beard. A real leftist. I never met a leftist at that point. I was about 18 years old. I didn't know what a leftist was, but I met one, and I was scared, and I was also interested. The answer is the socialist professor drives a Volvo, and a communist professor drives a Mercedes. Okay? Think about it. He was telling me something that I needed to know if I wanted to get ahead. How to become a leftist. Don't stay in this conservative thing because they're going to go down. That's what he was telling me. And that was back in the early 70s. Okay? So think about that. This is where these people are coming from. It's not nothing is what you think it is. Think, listen, and pay attention. God bless America, and don't lose hope.